Hello, and welcome back to the Time Vault. Today, we re-peeling back the layers of history to look at a machine that defied the very limits of what was thought possible. An aircraft so advanced, it seemed to fall from the future straight into the Cold War. Get ready, because we're diving into the incredible story of the SR-71 Blackbird. Picture this. It's the height of the Cold War. Tensions are sky-high, and information is the most valuable weapon. The United States needs eyes in the sky, a way to see what its adversaries are doing without being seen, or, more importantly, without being caught. The problem? Existing spy planes, like the U-2, were vulnerable. One was famously shot down over the Soviet Union in 1960. The solution needed to be radical, something that could fly higher and faster than any threat. Enter the brilliant minds at Lockheed's legendary Skunk Works, led by the genius designer Kelly Johnson. Their answer was Project Archangel. The SR-71 wasn't just an evolution, it was a revolution. To handle the extreme temperatures of Mach 3 flight, where the skin could reach over 600 degrees Fahrenheit, the aircraft was built primarily from titanium. But this created a huge problem. At the time, the biggest supplier of titanium was the Soviet Union, the very country the Blackbird was designed to spy on. The CIA had to set up elaborate dummy corporations around the world to secretly purchase the metal needed to build its own spy plane. It's one of history's greatest ironies. The Soviets unknowingly supplied the materials for the aircraft that would watch their every move. The design itself was otherworldly. Its sleek black profile wasn't just for looks. It was one of the earliest examples of stealth technology, designed to have a minimal radar cross-section. But the truly mind-bending part of its design was how it dealt with thermal expansion. The intense heat of high-speed flight caused the metal panels of the aircraft to expand by several inches. This leads us to one of the Blackbird's most famous quirks. To accommodate this expansion, the plane was built with gaps in its fuselage panels. On the ground, this meant the SR-71 was constantly leaking its specialized JP-7 jet fuel. It literally had to take off with a light fuel load, and then, once airborne, perform an immediate mid-air refueling after a short supersonic dash to heat up and seal the panels. Imagine that job interview. So, you'll be flying a plane that leaks fuel all over the runway until you go fast enough to seal itself. Only the best of the best need apply. And the pilots? They were a breed apart. They didn't just fly a plane, they wore it. Each pilot had a custom-fitted, fully pressurized spacesuit, similar to what astronauts wore. This was their lifeline. If the cockpit were to depressurize at 85,000 feet, they'd have only seconds of useful consciousness. These suits were their personal, wearable atmosphere in the harsh environment on the edge of space. Powering this beast were two massive Pratt & Whitney J58 engines. These weren't just jet engines, they were a unique hybrid called a turbo ramjet. At lower speeds, they functioned like a conventional jet engine. But as the Blackbird accelerated past Mach 2, internal bypass doors would redirect airflow, turning the engine into a high-efficiency ramjet, with the afterburner providing most of the thrust. This revolutionary technology allowed the SR-71 to sustain speeds that other aircraft could only dream of reaching for a few moments. So, what was it like to fly the Blackbird? Pilots described an experience unlike any other. At 85,000 feet, the sky above is a deep, dark purple-black, and you can clearly see the curvature of the Earth. The silence at that altitude was profound, broken only by the hum of the cockpit systems, and its primary mission was strategic reconnaissance. Armed with a battery of sophisticated cameras and sensors, a single SR-71 could survey over 100,000 square miles of territory in just 1 hour. It flew over hostile areas like North Vietnam, the Middle East, and North Korea, gathering critical intelligence that shaped global politics for decades. The Blackbird's most legendary defense was its speed. The standard procedure upon detecting a surface-to-air missile launch was simple. Push the throttles forward and accelerate. The plane could literally outrun missiles. Over its entire operational history, from 1966 to its final retirement in 1999, more than 4,000 missiles were fired at SR-71s. Not a single one ever scored a hit. Think about that. 0 losses to enemy action. The Blackbird was simply untouchable. One of the most famous stories illustrating its speed comes from a pilot's memoir. While flying over the United States, they were casually listening to air traffic control chatter. A Cessna pilot asked for a ground speed check and was told 90 knots. A moment later, a Twin Beach pilot asked for the same and was told 120 knots. Then, a Navy F-18 pilot came on with some swagger, asking for his ground speed. The controller replied, 525 knots on the ground. Then, the SR-71 pilot, in his high-altitude chariot, calmly keyed the mic. Center, Aspen 20, I need a ground speed check. After a brief, almost stunned pause, the controller came back. Aspen 20, I show you at 1,842 knots. The radio went silent. The Blackbird pilot ended his story by saying the only sound was his navigator chuckling in the back seat. That's pure, unadulterated performance. Despite its unparalleled success, the SR-71 program was incredibly expensive to operate. The specialized fuel, the massive maintenance requirements, and the rise of advanced satellite reconnaissance technology eventually led to its retirement. The last flights were conducted by NASA for high-speed, high-altitude research before the remaining airframes were sent to museums. Today, the SR-71 Blackbird sits silently in museums across the country, a relic of a bygone era. But it's more than just a retired aircraft. It's a monument to human ingenuity, a testament to what can be achieved when we push the boundaries of science and engineering to their absolute limit. It was designed in an age of slide rules and drafting tables, yet it still looks like it belongs in a science fiction movie. It flew faster than a speeding bullet, operated at the edge of space, and never once faltered in its mission. The Blackbird was, and remains, a true legend of the skies. Thank you for joining us on this journey back to the Cold War. What incredible machine from history should we explore next? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the Time Vault and hit that notification bell so you never miss a trip into the past. We'll see you next time.